Okay, so I told you if you're going to go to a webinar with me that you have to over deliver. So here is my over delivery. I, full disclosure, just promised Colette that I'm going to walk the dog. I am not walking the dog. I am going to do the over delivery thing so I don't forget while the sun is still up. And then we're going on a dog walk. Where'd you go? I promise. We're going on a dog walk. I promise, I promise, I promise. He was very excited. I'm using the word WALK. Okay, here's my over delivery. At the beginning of the meeting, there were a number of people who arrived late or weren't able to get in because they were stuck in my waiting room. I apologize for that. But I wanted to make sure that both of these recordings were available. I went through my phone. I answered any text messages that came in, got all caught up with everything. I have compiled together. At the very beginning, I said, is there something that you do in real life that you don't think you can do virtually? And then I'm going to see if I can come up with something generally. So I went through, I downloaded the chat, I put it into Word, I took all the timestamps and stuff off. So this is what was in the chat, and so this is me kind of brainstorming off top of my head. Okay, number one, hug people. So I made the joke about the hug emoji that's on Facebook, but I think you can also just say hello or use their name, reference people, kind of connecting people at the very beginning of the meeting when we were calling in early. I introduced Allison to Andrew to Alan. I made jokes about A names, kept introducing them. And then as people were leaving, they say goodbye to each other. Maybe that counts as a hug. Maybe not. Maybe it was a joke. Do a quick pair exercise, 30 seconds each. So what's hard about this one is the time frame. But there's another one that comes up later too that I think you can do. And that if you have chat open so that anybody can privately chat with one another, then you can assign pairs verbally and say, like, Linda, you're going to chat with Ava, and Alan, you're going to chat with Andrew. And then they can have private chats with each other, and you would be able to see all of that chat. That might be a good way to do a quick pair and share. You can assign buddies, maybe, so then they always know that that's their quick pair and share person that they can privately chat with in the chat. You just have to set the chat function up in advance. Maybe that'll be helpful. Okay, low ropes course process. So technically speaking, you cannot do a low ropes course on the virtual program. So you can do stuff that is trust builders though. The practice activity that we did is very self-reflective and it can be kind of personal. So I think you can do stuff like that. It usually involves a lot of silence and facilitating the silence with prompts and things. So you can do trust builders, but I don't think you can do low ropes. So maybe you win on that one. Participants picking the topic that they want to join. So this gets back into the breakout rooms, and you can rename each individual breakout. And maybe people chat and tell you in advance what room they want to, and then you can assign people to those specific topics. This is also where I don't know how to do this, but you can upload an Excel document with pre-set up topics. So maybe they select a topic in registration or email you in advance, but you would rename the breakout groups the topic of discussion. I would imagine too, you could do round one, bring them all back together, and then manually sort and give people, keep the topics the same, but randomly sort what topic they go to next. That's an idea. Dancing. You can always dance. The people are having happy hour dance parties all the time virtually. This is also very nice by doing jazz hands because it's a visual thing that people can see. It's kind of fun. I was actually emceeing a conference and somebody made a Mariah Carey reference. So during the break in between speakers, due to copyright laws, I of course did not play Mariah Carey's song on YouTube. I played it on my phone while we were taking a break, and I danced and kept the camera on. So you could do that. Split the room up 400, a room of 400 up to 1,000 people according to their personality styles. So I guess my first question would be is, do you know their personality styles in advance? Because then you could tell them, and then that goes back to pre-assigning breakout rooms possibly. The Zoom Enterprise webinar from NSA membership caps at 500 people. Meeting caps at 200 people from the NSA Enterprise level. So you wouldn't be able to do 1,000 people. You could offer the webinar twice and have two groups of 500. If you knew the personality styles in advance, you could sort them by that, by either the common personalities or making sure that somebody from different personalities are in each group. In theory, you could do that in advance by sorting the breakout groups. But breakout groups are only in the meeting, and meeting caps at 200, so you would have to do this 5 times. So then what I would do is, if they knew their personalities in advance somehow, I would host the webinar 5 different times by personality. Anybody can join in if they want to any of them, but preference goes to these people because they're this particular personality type. I don't know, that's an idea. I need to speak to a group on listening skills and was hoping to do breakout rooms for partner activities. It will be a Zoom webinar. I think we actually chatted, and for listening skills, you could do breakouts. You can also, I think I used this as an example in the beginning, you could also have people type what they would say. And you can also run the risk of allowing 2 people to unmute themselves and verbally have a conversation by pinning or spotlighting their videos. I would ask for consent in advance if that's okay for people to participate, but then you could ask for the volunteers and do role playing or the listening skills auditorily by unmuting people or chatting in the text or putting people in breakouts and they practice and you send them the prompts in the breakouts. Bringing people up on stage. So this is very easy. This goes to pinning people's videos or spotlighting particular videos, and then everybody can focus on it. In Zoom webinar, what I have done is I've asked for panelists. So then in Zoom webinar, panelists become like a television show, and then the regular participants kind of watch the television show. So in the practice that we did on the webinar, I have done that activity with several thousand people and then hand selected 5 people in advance who became panelists. And so these folks watch those 5 people have the processing conversation at the end. Instead of everyone being able to process and talk out loud, I give everyone the full activity and then they just watch a few people have the processing conversation. So you could do some kind of variation of that maybe. Using props, games, movement in the room. Thursday, May 21st, the NSA Vault for the virtual influence conference. Tammy Evans and Brian Walter are going to be the guests. I highly recommend looking that because they use a lot of props and games and movement and getting off camera or not on camera. It's also the case I'm sitting in my desk chair right now using my laptop that way, but I also can use my cell phone set up here and be logged into the same meeting twice from my cell phone and from this. Turn this video off so that I'm here, but I can turn this video off and this video on, possibly during a break, and then would have a different background or something. You can also go off screen and come back on screen. That might help with movement. As far as other props go, you can always ask people to bring certain things with them, and then they're doing their own reflective activity with the props that they brought. So like bring something special that you think from your childhood, and then do an activity while they're looking at the thing from their childhood. So then they would all have their individual props. I just thought of that. The enterprise version, you can activate a waiting room. So my waiting room has a joke about my logo and says, "Hold on, I'm waiting for my pants." So then you can't get into a meeting unless somebody actually admits you into the meeting. I deputized someone to kind of help with that. And then as the program got on, I missed people. I think they missed people. They were just hanging out in the waiting room, but they'll get their recording. Zoom webinar does not have a waiting room. So that's important to know. But you could also ask a prompt or a thoughtful question or something in the waiting room, customize it for the particular Zoom meeting. Give them all, like, let them hang out on purpose in the waiting room for some things. That could work. Can you preset reminders for the breakout groups? I typed all the prompts in. I set them up. I make a schedule. I know what minutes have gone by that I do which ones that I'm doing, and then play it by ear based on how I think things are going. I don't think you can preset the prompts inside of the breakout groups, but I really don't know. I haven't tried that, and who knows, it could be a Zoom update. It's a good tip, by the way, is every morning I log into Zoom, I check for updates so that I have the most current version. Fun facts. Okay, next one. Can you give us another way to have a parent share other than a breakout? So we did that a minute ago, chatting with particular partners or buddies in the chat, private chatting with one another. As the host, you'd be able to see all of that, I believe. The other thing is to have one set of pair, one small group, unmute themselves and do it out loud, and either pin or spotlight those videos together. If you're using Zoom webinar, the panelist thing could work as well. Might also just use something else. Like if you have a lot of the clients I have work with Slack, so maybe there's a Slack channel specifically for your webinar. So then you can have people slacking each other and on Zoom or texting each other or something like that. I don't know. Couldn't we have them do private chat with one person? How would you set them up in pairs? So that's a very good question. So in advance, if you have the registrations, you could do all of that in advance. You can also just pick people based the order of the screen of the shots, the Brady Bunch or speaker gallery view. You could set the order based on your Brady Bunch thing and just determine it. I wouldn't probably ask for volunteers unless you did that well in advance or had some kind of intel about personalities and who would need to be paired together. Okay, that is my Q&A, hopeful over delivery, trying to answer the questions and problems that you actually have. If you have any more, feel free. I'm alphabetizing dust bunnies over here, so I'm happy to help. My texting number is 202-670-4262, or you can send me an email. Colette, I'm going on a dog walk.